All right, section 1.3, we're in the middle of this section. We've been talking so far about reasoning and logic. Just a reminder of where we are. We talked about statements and negations. We looked at some ideas about quantifiers, the words all, some, none, those kinds of things. We talked a little bit about negating those. And then the rest of the time we've been looking at truth tables. Okay, so we did a truth table for a negation, a truth table for a conjunction, and a disjunction. We did some truth statements for some general statements. And then we left off talking about De Morgan's laws and doing a truth table that showed De Morgan's laws actually worked on an example. So we're going to pick up again with some of De Morgan's laws then. So De Morgan's laws are the idea of sort of distributing a negation through a statement. All right, so we go back one slide. When we're looking at De Morgan's laws, you see that this negation applies to the P to make it negation of P. It applies to the conjunction to turn it into a disjunction. And it applies to the Q to make it a negation of Q, right? So we're going to do that now for a statement that's actually got language to it. I want to write the negation of the statement, it is not sunny and I will go for a walk. So what would I write first? So I want my negation of this. So there's three pieces of information here, right? There's the first piece. That's the second piece. And this is the third piece, and all of them need to be changed. So somebody change the first piece for me. It is sunny. Thank you, Beth. So it is not sunny becomes it is sunny. Somebody change the second piece for me. It becomes an or. Thank you, Lauren. So the and becomes an or. Somebody change the third piece for me. I will not go for a walk, yes. Okay, so we just change all three pieces of information. Yeah? Yeah. All right. All right, so we talked about this happening last time, and I couldn't remember if we were going to do a truth report, and I said if you need it on your notes or in your homework, we'll talk about it then. We're going to talk a little bit more about the language form and the structure for it. A conditional statement is a statement that is expressed as if something, then something else. Right? If it is sunny, then I'll go for a run later today. If it is raining, I don't have to run anymore. Whatever. So an if and then statement. The notation actually draws an arrow between things, and sometimes you'll hear that red, or you'll hear me say P implies Q. It means the same thing, right? The first statement implies, or means the second statement is going to follow. The first statement, the if part, in this case the P here, is called the hypothesis. And the second part is called conclusion, it's the result. Okay? So we're going to work a little bit with those, with that language structure here. In fact, yeah, we'll do that next. All right, so here's our structure. We've got language identified with certain letters. So the letter P in this statement is going to mean you build it. And the letter Q is going to mean they will come. Do you know what movie that's from? Field of Dreams. That's so before your time, that's before my time almost. So maybe it is, but I do remember seeing it when I was younger. Yeah, so from Field of Dreams. Okay, so we're going to take a look at these two sort of statements, and we're going to write the symbols that represent them. Okay, so there's statements in here. This says they will come. That's part of the statement. This says you build it. And we're going to write the implication statement that goes with this. So you don't necessarily look at where they occur in the sentence. You look at where they occur in relation to the word if. What part is attached to the if in this case? You build it after it. If you build it. So if you think about writing this statement, writing this statement in a more traditional form by putting the if at the beginning, this statement actually says, if you build it, they will come. English, we can say that the other way around. We mean the same thing, right? Because we've associated the word if still with the portion of the statement that says you build it. So, as far as the language on, or the symbols for this, what's the beginning symbol I need to use? Is it P or is it Q? It's P. Because the P, the if part, is associated with you build it, and that's P. If you build it, then same thing happens after it. Then they will come. So my arrow comes next. P implies, that is, you're building it implies that something else is going to happen. And what is going to happen? They will come, which is the symbol Q. Okay, so this is the same statement. P implies Q. You can rewrite it if it helps you. That's why I did this on the side. If I rewrite it, you can see exactly that those pieces line up, right? Because I've sort of moved the if to the beginning, and the portion that was associated with the if moves with it. It's kind of like if I say -5. You can't associate the negative from the 5. It's all combined. You can't disassociate the if and the statement that comes right after it. They stick together. Okay? Now, yes, Beth?
Is it always the statement that comes right after it?
Yes, the statement that comes after the word if is the beginning of the implication statement, no matter if the if occurs at the beginning of the sentence or in the middle of the sentence. Yes. Now, part B is a little bit nicer in the sense that the ifs is already at the beginning, so we don't have to sort of move it around, right? But it says, if you do not build it, what symbol is that? That's tilde P, right? What comes next? Before that, the arrow, and then Mackenzie, what you have? Q. Q. If you do not build it, then they will come. Now that's not a statement that's equivalent to one I already said before, but it is a statement that has the symbols in the correct order on this, right? So that's what we're looking at on that problem. All right, we're going to do another one, and we're going to go the other way around. So now we're going to take symbols and we're going to turn them into written out statements. And those symbols have meanings for them. So P is the statement, God loves me. Q is the statement, I'm a sinner. All right? So what am I going to write? All right, so God loves me. And then I heard the word, let's say it louder. And. Why am I going to use the word and? Right. The conjunction symbol comes next, and that is the word and. So God loves me, and I am a sinner. Okay, so it turns the symbol into language, the words. One more down here. What does this one say? Tilde Q, what's that going to be? I am not a sinner. And do I write I am not a sinner? Well, I do, but there needs to be something else with that. There's an if in front of it because this has this arrow, right? So the if goes with the piece at the beginning. It goes with the initial statement or the statement before the arrow. If I am not a sinner, now what? Then God loves me. And if you weren't a sinner, God would love you, but the good news is that you are a sinner and he still loves you, right? So this is not a statement that is actually one that we use in our theology, right? But we're just using simple writing statements now. Okay. All right, one last example. And this is the idea of contrapositive. So if you have a statement P arrow Q, right, like this, the contrapositive does two things. It turns the Q to the beginning and the P to the end. And what else does it do? It negates both of them. It changes them to the word not, right? So it changes the order. It flips it around, okay? And it negates both of them at the same time. And if you change the order and you negate something at the same time, thereby creating a contrapositive, the statement's equivalent to the one you started with. It's an equivalent logical statement. And you guys do this in your English all the time. And if you're trying to confuse a small child, sometimes you do this and you're successful. Okay? You have successfully confused them and said the exact same thing. And you dissuaded them from tears or something like this. Not that I would know, of course. But, all right, so here's a statement, and we're going to create the contrapositive. And we're going to think about it to make sure that we agree that, yep, that is logically equivalent, because it should be if we've created it right. So this statement has the if at the beginning, and here's the I in the center, right? I'm not putting in symbols on this like I did in the last one. I'm just changing the words, okay? And I've got my then, and then here's my next statement. I'm saved by grace. Okay, so I'm not doing symbols. I'm using the language. I'm changing into letters. I'm using language. So one of the things I need to do is I need to switch the order, which means that the saved by grace part needs to become to the beginning, correct? So my if will still stay at the beginning. The saved by grace part comes to the beginning, but it needs to change. How? It needs to say not in there. So it says, if I am not saved by grace, then what? Then I am not a sinner. That is a logical statement. Because if you were not saved by grace, then there would be nothing for God to forgive. Correct? So you wouldn't have been a forgive. You wouldn't have been a sinner to forgive. So these are two ways of saying the same thing. Honestly, usually one of them sounds more reasonable to our ears than the other one, but they mean the same thing.